Regular meeting of the Mobile City Council, Wednesday, March the 2nd. Please stand for our invocation, led by Reverend Jim Flowers, All Saints Episcopal Church, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. And a moment of silence following the pledge.
Bow our heads, dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for waking us up this morning and showing our way. We thank you for letting us see a brand new day, dear Heavenly Father. We ask you, dear Heavenly Father, to please bless this meeting. Not only just this meeting, but please bless Mobile, dear Heavenly Father. Not only just Mobile, but this state, this country, and this world. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. You all maybe see it.
I know the funeral today. Roll call, President Small.
Here.
Vice President Gregory.
Here.
Councilmember Penn.
Here.
Councilmember Carroll.
Here.
Councilmember Reynolds. Councilmember Daves. Councilmember Jones.
Here.
Statement of rules.
And good morning, everyone.
Morning.
It's good to see everybody. Day after Fat Tuesday. This is the beginning of Lent, and it's going to be a great Lent season, I believe. The rules of our meeting is that this time I ask if anyone has any type of electronic device, please put it on the off or the vibrator position. The off or the vibrator position. Any person desiring to address the council must sign in indicating the resolution, the ordinance, appeal, or public hearing agenda item before entering the meeting. When addressing the council, the speaker must state that his or her name and address. Any person desiring to speak to the council on a non-agenda item must sign in to the city clerk office no later than 2:00 p.m. on the Thursday prior to the council meeting. The subject that he or she wishes to address must be identified and pertain to the city of Mobile business. Any person who has not given proper notice to the city clerk office and wishes to speak on a non-agenda item would not be allowed to address the council. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to address the council. A bell will sound to indicate the end of 2 minutes. 1 minute remains for summarizing. The second bell indicates that your time has expired. When addressing the council, there is to be no personal address to any individual council members. All statements are to be made to the chair, who will recognize any council member who wishes to respond. To maintain decorum, there will be no undue applause and or public outcry allowed. Madam Clerk.
Approval of minutes of February 22nd.
So move.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes approved.
Communications from the mayor.
Good morning.
Morning.
It's good to see everybody here this morning, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Well, maybe bushy-tailed. I'm not sure about the bright eyes out there. But anyway, it's obvious that Mobile welcomed Mardi Gras back with open arms. What a fantastic celebration. And as everybody knows, it doesn't just happen. It takes so much collaboration and coordination by so many different people to make it happen. So I just want to thank the Mobile Police Department for what they've done, Mobile Fire Rescue for what they did, Public Works, Parks and Rec, the Convention Center employees, and all the Mardi Gras organizations. I think we should stand and give them all a round of applause. My understanding is that we had approximately 118,000 people downtown yesterday. I don't know if that's a record or not, but it was really wall to wall with people. So thanks again to everybody for what you've done. Also, I have an announcement of a press release that came out about an hour ago outlining that Mobile Airport Authority and Mobile Port have received a $100 million grant. $100 million grant, I'll say that twice because it's obviously very significant. And I just want to read part of that press release that came out of Senator Shelby's office. But this is a DOT transportation, we call it demo program. let's see, where I'll start. The Transportation DOT grant in the amount of $100 million to participate in the DOT Transportation Demonstration Program, which is intended for entities that are well positioned to augment existing intermodal and multimodal assets in close proximity with capital investments that strengthen infrastructure connections. Senator Shelby, this is what he said. This is one of the most impactful federal grants during my entire time in Congress. That speaks volumes right there. Mobile is uniquely positioned to become a major transportation hub, and this infrastructure, with infrastructure already in place for maritime, rail, aviation, and highways. For many years, I've worked to create these conditions by dredging the Port of Mobile and improving the airport. This program will build on that vision. So I want to thank Senator Shelby on behalf of all Mobilians. $62 million of it goes to the terminal at the airport. $38 million goes to build infrastructure at the port. So again, thank you, Senator Shelby, for what an amazing grant. And also to the Department of Transportation and Secretary Buttigieg, who he and Senator Shelby had a phone call, a conversation yesterday to, cross T's and dot the I's to make sure that the grant is forthcoming. Following up on Mardi Gras, you'll see a lot of our public works and parks and rec personnel out in the street continuing to clean up and picking up barricades. I would encourage all property owners who have property that's abutting the parade routes that if you have any trash in your yard or your place of business, please get it to the street, because as our teams come through cleaning up, it's much easier to go ahead and pick up the stuff that you have brought to the curb or gotten to the gutter than what you have blowing out of off of your property into the street, and we have to come back and clean up again. So please cooperate with us on trying to make sure we can get the city and the litter off the streets as quickly as possible. Later today at 2 o'clock, we'll be renaming the basketball courts at Sage Park. We're honoring a former city employee, Marion Shepard. Marion worked for the city for 50 years. He started as a coach in the Parks and Rec Department in 1969. In 2019, finished his career as the sports coordinator. So I look forward to that renaming opportunity out at Sage Herndon Park. At this time, I want to call on Chief Lamy to introduce the firefighter of the month.
Okay, good morning. Appreciate you having us here today. We always like the opportunity to be able to recognize one of our own, and thank you to the police department for showing your support as well. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. No, today I have Captain Peterson here. He's a MFRD firefighter captain. Began his career with MFRD in November of 2002. We actually were in the first recruit class together, so it was an interesting point. He's recognized as an invaluable training officer. He has high standards for himself and others. I don't know if you know this. I've got a couple of talking points here, but he's been the lead instructor at our training academy for the past several years. So every recruit that's come through there was under his command. And that's a tremendous responsibility and takes a lot of effort and a lot of due diligence every single day to make sure that the standards set high. So we just wanted to thank you for your service and also recognize the fact that he's probably one of the most certified firefighters on our job. He's attended over 40 classes, over 1,600 hours of things that he's volunteered to want to learn his job better. So we thank you for your service. Appreciate what you do every day. Thank you. Okay. I would like to make one last comment. Chief Godwin here, I know that he retired yesterday, but there's not a better man that I've met on the Mobile Police Department, and I just want to say thank you, my friend, and good luck in your future endeavors.
At this time, I think Chief Prine is going to introduce the Officer of the Month.
Good morning, Mayor, staff, City Council. Chief Lamy, we're definitely going to have to talk about your support for the police department. So this is Officer Nathan Jones. He's been employed with the Mobile Police Department since 2016. He is the Officer of the Month recommended and honored for January 2022 of this year. He had 138 calls for service. He arrested over 16 felony cases, 14 misdemeanors, and issued numerous citations. More importantly, Officer Jones is a highly motivated officer. He's also one of our field training officers. He was selected to do so mainly because of his attitude, his competence, his appearance, and his service, which are the standards of professionalism that we're pushing within the ranks of the department. So with that said, on behalf of the Mobile Police Department, the citizens of Mobile, congratulations on a job well done.
This time I'd ask Director Batiste, Clay Godwin, and Chief Prime to join us up here. So I have a proclamation that I would like to read, and it reads, whereas Clay Harris Godwin began his law enforcement career on January 23, 1992, and served in various units. Among them were the Ranger Unit, the Mounted Unit, the Traffic Safety Unit, as a motor officer, and the SWAT team. And whereas Godwin continued his progressive rise through the ranks of the department, he was promoted to the rank of sergeant, lieutenant, captain, and major, serving in the narcotics unit, slide detail, patrol services, commander of the precinct at the precinct level, and major crimes section. Whereas Godwin, with many honors and awards, was awarded the Excellent Police Duty McCrary Award, Chiefs Unit Award, Life Saving Award, and whereas Godwin further progressed within his career and achieved the present rank of Assistant Chief of Police, serving this position for the past 5 years, and whereas his expertise in law enforcement has served as a template and guide to demonstrate the tools needed to remain steadfast and true to the values of the City of Mobile's Police Department, and whereas Godwin is recognized as a valued leader and mentor within the police department, who has significantly contributed to the department's ability to provide solid, well-defined law enforcement service to the community. And now, therefore, I, William S. Stimson, the 108th Mayor of the City of Mobile, do hereby recognize Clay Harris Godwin for his countless hours of dedicated service to the Mobile Police Department and City of Mobile, and proclaim Clay as a public servant to our community, done on the second day of March 2022. Clay, congratulations.
It gives me great pleasure and honor to stand here today before the City Council and the Mayor to thank Chief Godwin for allowing us to honor him. In my tenure here, I've seen many men and women come and go and walk away after serving 30 years without us having the opportunity to honor them for their dedication and service to this community. Assistant Chief Godwin worked tirelessly to make sure each and every day that he came to work to make sure that the City of Mobile and the Mobile Police Department was a better place. And so we thank him for his many years of services, and we wish him good speed on his retirement and all the things that he gets to do now without having to worry about Mobile Police Department.
Thank y'all very much. I'm overwhelmed by the presentation today. It's totally unexpected. I'd like to say that it's prophetic, and God has other plans for me, and it's brought me to this point. Today being the first day of Lent, I decided to give up work for a living, so that worked out pretty good. I'd like to thank the council members. Good luck to you, and anything I can do to help you I'd be more than happy to do that. I'd like to thank the command staff and all the members of the Mobile Police Department. I tell new recruits that we have that I would do this job for free if somebody paid my bills, and it's actually how I started this job as a reserve officer. And Chief Lamy, one of your firemen is the reason why I'm a police officer, and the reason that is because he was a reserve officer, and that's how I got introduced to the Mobile Police Department. So thank you. Thank y'all very much.
Chief Godwin, thank you so much for all your hard work over the past several years. I had the opportunity to meet you several years ago, and you've always been the same, and I know you will always be. Congratulations again on your retirement.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead, Gina.
Ms. Gregory.
And I want to add my congratulations to Clay, who I count as a friend. I really got to know Captain Godwin, Clay, better when he was the commander of the 4th Precinct. We worked together quite a bit when he was the captain out there. And he's also been a resident of District 7. I always like to claim all of my commanders and mayors and everybody else who are also residents of the district. So Clay, just thank you so much for all you've done. Appreciate it all, and I hate to see you go, but I know you've got a lot more that you would like to do and can do now. So just happy trails. And also, if y'all didn't see yesterday, there was a thank you, Clay Godwin, on the front of one of the SUVs in a parade, and that was such a nice tribute. So thank you, Clay, for everything.
Thank you. And
Mr. Carrot and Mr. Reynolds.
Well, Chief, it's been a long time with you and I. We've been friends forever.
Yes, sir.
And I really appreciate everything you've done. But I've just got one question. Does this mean that I won't see you at the gate before the football games anymore? At McGill?
See me as a citizen, I guess. A citizen of Mobile, so, yes, sir.
Well, I hope to continue seeing you at the games and everything else that we've always done. It was a pleasure working with you throughout my tenure, my first tenure, and all the things that you helped me learn, helped me see, especially in the district, community policing, beat cops, all the good stuff. Really appreciate your help.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Reynolds.
Chief, we hadn't had an opportunity to know each other for a long time, but when I announced my candidacy to run for this job, Chief Godwin showed up there. It was important enough for him to see who was possibly going to be taking over this job, and it was, I'm sure, nudged by John Williams to show up there. And since that day, we have really gotten to know each other a fair amount, and I appreciate the hard work you've put in for 30 years and the sacrifice that you and your family have made. And if there's anything I can do to help you during retirement, please let me know. Congratulations.
Mr. President.
Mr. Jones.
Chief, on behalf of the constituents and myself from District 6, thank you for 30 years of selfless service and dedication and commitment to the police and the citizens of this great city. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. Penn.
Chief, thank you so much. I didn't get a chance to know you well. Well, maybe we can learn each other after this retirement. You got some extra time on your hand now.
Yes,
But congratulations, and I wish the best to you and your family.
And it's great to see all the command staff here as well. Thank you all for coming and for supporting Captain, he's not a captain anymore, Assistant Chief Godwin in his retirement. Thank you all.
Good. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And there is some good news with the grant that's coming. As we have learned that the less debt that you own the airport, the more airlines look to come to that particular airport. So that's great news for the city of Mobile. And also, Councilman Kara had announced this morning during pre-conference. We also had the news was Plateau yesterday. Receiving some good news also about getting some grants in the future. Probably up there.
Yes, we did. I guess during the announcement period we'll talk more about it. But in the audience today is also Amelia Bacon. She likes to ask me to make an announcement, but since she worked so hard on this towards the end of the day during the announcement period, I'm going to ask her to come down and talk a little bit more about this also. This award from the World Monument Fund is huge for the city of Mobile, and it was a community-based approach. It wasn't a government-based approach. It came from the citizens from our community, reaching out, looking for an opportunity for Africatown, and the World Monument Fund has nominated us for the World Watch, which is only 25 countries or spots in the whole world that were chosen. So it's a tremendous opportunity for Africatown. It's an opportunity for philanthropy from this group to help fund different projects that the citizens choose and not the city. It's an opportunity for architectural-based community foundation infrastructure and what the citizens choose out there. So I'd like her to, in about 2 minutes or less, or 3, to please make this announcement during the announcement period of the council.
Yes, good morning to everyone. This is a very exciting time for the city of Mobile, and particularly for Africatown in particular. Yesterday, there was a national, international announcement that came through, as Mr. Carroll was saying, from the World Monuments Fund. This entity is one in which they go all over the world and look at countries and places, historic museums, and the likes. They come together and look at the places that need help. You have to be nominated. The Africatown that we know was nominated, as Mr. Carroll is saying. In the nomination, there were 226 nations all over the country that were nominated. They went through and they decided that they were going to select 25 individuals or entities to compete. Africatown was selected as one of the 2 in the country, in the world. So we should be very proud that the World Monuments is taking a look at us and will be putting their resources behind Africatown to make some things happen that the community of Africatown has been wanting to do, lacking of funds and resources. This seems to be a breakthrough for the Africatown community. We're very, very happy. I know many of you have worked in the background and in the forefront to assist with some things in Africatown, but this particular grant or funding will touch on many, many other areas for the next 2 years. It's not something that's going to be happening just on a segment of time of months or within 6 months or whatever. This is going to go on for the next 2 years. We don't have all of the particulars on it. I would like to say, Mr. Carroll, you had indicated that I had been working on it. That is slightly true. Many of you will remember that a young lady who came to us in Africatown to work with us on the International Design Idea Competition. Her name is Renee Kemp Rotan. With this nomination, someone has to come forth and put the name in front of the World Monuments funding. She was instrumental in writing that application for Africatown. She fell in love with Africatown through her work with us in other ways in this community. It has become a part of her, and without any push or whatever, she learned about the availability of this funding, and she took it upon herself. She nominated it as a single individual for this to happen in Africatown, in our community. Now, mind you, her hometown is Birmingham, but she has loaned herself as an urban developer to this community to try to do what she can for the Africatown community. So while Mr. Carroll said Amelia Bacon, just push that aside. She is the person who wrote that nomination.
But you also
And-
had helped her a whole lot.
Well,
Yeah, but we.
very little, very little. She's an architect, and she is also an urban developer.
Yeah.
I'm none of those, and that's what
Yes.
it took for us to become
Well, we're so proud.
on the world stage.
We're so
Yes,
proud.
sir.
We're
Yeah.
so proud,
Yes, sir.
so
Yeah.
honored,
Yes,
and
sir.
it's great to know and hear. And we really appreciate everything that y'all have done. And for Vicky Howell and Regina and
Yes.
you, and also in the room the other day, everybody else that was supporting us and watching us get nominated
Yes.
and become a part of the world. Repeat this: the world, not the country. The world is reaching out to Africatown at this point in time. That's something,
Yes, sir.
something to be proud of. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And I will say that the World Monument Funding is going to be releasing the video for them unfolding it. And when they do, I will make sure that a copy comes to the city. And I know you're in civic engagement, Anitra, and I'll make sure that you get it and you can put it where it needs to go so everyone can see and experience that event. Thank you very much.
Well, this all ties in together with the good news for Africatown, especially what the mayor had brought to us. We know that the world is looking at Africatown, but they got places to get here with a new airport, and hopefully they'll get the train. So Mobile is on the ball. Thank y'all so much, and thank everybody who have things to do with bringing Mobile up to the speed where we need to be. Again, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Shelby, and Africatown. Madam Clerk.
Adoption of the agenda.
So move.
Second.
Been properly moved in second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Agenda is adopted.
Appeals, we have requests for a waiver of the noise ordinance on March the 4th in Melavana Park.
No issues. So move.
Second.
Been properly moved in second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Appeal passed.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Elizabeth Chipelich.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Chipelich. My address in Mobile is 1860 Government Street. I'm here today representing the Facebook community homeless in Mobile and to oppose the proposed urban camping ordinance. It is important that you, our city council members, know who is this proposed ordinance going to affect if it is passed. Who are these people? Your people. This is one of the people it will greatly affect. This man has been on the streets of Mobile for 6 years. He's a 60-year-old man who has significant intellectual, mental, and physical disabilities. For 10 months, I have strived daily to help him access resources, mental health care, and housing. Still today, he has no mental health care and he has no housing. Folks, are you aware that if you have an intellectual disability in Alabama, there's no mental health care for you? It's shocking, and I see it every day. This gentleman was raised in a good home with a loving family. His father retired as a fireman. His parents became elderly. His father died. His mother, in her mid-90s, could no longer care for herself. He became homeless and has lived the horror of being homeless in Mobile for 6 years. He is one of thousands like him in Mobile County. And again, the numbers that you see from Housing First are greatly inaccurate. Mental health issues like depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, addiction, and intellectual disabilities is often the root of homelessness. How does a seriously mentally ill person access mental health care in Mobile? I have found in my 20 years of serving these people one-on-one, it is often impossible for them to access care. After often getting nowhere with AltaPoint, I will call Montgomery and talk to the advocacy department at the mental health department, rarely getting any results for these people. Something is wrong. Something is terribly wrong with this system. This dysfunction has gone on too long. Citizens are dying in the woods of Mobile needlessly. Why do we keep electing representatives who refuse to address these social issues? Why is Alabama still rejecting Medicaid expansion? It's unbelievable. We need you, our city council, to seriously address this crisis, and I'm almost through.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but we will be having a committee meeting this afternoon. It'll be in the auditorium, correct, Mr. Gregory? At 1:30 p.m.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President,
Mr. Reynolds.
if I could, without objection, allow Ms. Chiplich to finish, extend her another minute.
1 minute. Yeah.
The definition of oppression is the unjust treatment or control. This proposed ordinance is unjust. I, who work one-on-one with the mentally ill and the homeless, and the 7,000-member Homeless in Mobile group unanimously agree this proposed ordinance is unjust. Proverbs 14:31 reads, "Whoever oppresses a poor man insults his maker, but he who is generous to the needy honors his maker." I am pleading with you to honor God, this gentleman, and his father who served his community for years by turning this ordinance down to make his unfortunate situation a crime in Mobile. Will history remember you as the city council who chose to finally move and improve the homeless situation in Mobile, or will it remember you as the council who chose to put the homeless crisis on the back burner? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Terry Baku, and following Terry Baku is Mary Mars.
Good morning to the council and post Mardi Gras to everyone. To Councilman Carroll, my name is Terry Baku, and I live at 1911 Jones Avenue, Mobile, Alabama, 36617. But I have a property at 1057 State Street, the campground area. And here recently, I got a notice, an ordinance to rehab it, consequences. Then I got a letter of a resolution to have it demolished. And my understanding is that the campground is a Civil War entity, an old Civil War historical artifact for this city. And the houses that's in the campground, some of them are dilapidated, but my house is not so much as dilapidated as to be torn down. As I don't know who inspected it, who did a walkthrough. I don't know, but evidently they hadn't went in the house, did a full inspection of it. I hadn't talked to no city inspectors. I hadn't talked to no city architect or nobody to determine that the house was collaborated. And my understanding is that by it being a historical district now, that it needs to be upgraded. And that with the resources that I'm reaching out for in a couple of months, I can rehab that house. I'm just asking for that extended time.
What's the time on the letter that they say to act by? Does it say?
It doesn't say.
It doesn't say?
It just said that it would be demolished. The notice that came a couple of months ago said that I had to rehab. I got a permit and start rehabbing.
Okay. You see the gentleman right behind you, Mr. David?
Yes, sir.
He's going to address your issue.
Okay.
Good morning, David Dockenbaugh, Deputy Director of Municipal Enforcement. Just to follow up real quick, that 1057 State Street has been declared by the City Council for demolition, but Municipal Enforcement is aware that the owner has an active building permit to repair the structure. So we have paused any further action to allow the gentleman to make the repairs. Now, if he would like to make an application for a repair grant to the Community Housing Development, he can do that. But I do encourage him to follow up with his inspections because his building permit, his rehabilitation permit, is about to expire in a couple days. So he needs to do two things, one of two things, either acquire some additional building inspections to continue the permit automatically, or go to the building permit department to request an extension on the permit because it's about to expire on the 11th of this month.
If you could speak to Mr. David Dockenbaugh, outside of this meeting, and he can give you all your options and everything. Thank you. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Mary Morris. Following Mary Morris is Shalilah Dowdy.
Is Ms. Morris present? No. Madam Clerk.
Shalilah Dowdy. Following Shalilah is Beverly Cooper.
Good morning to the City Council, Mayor's team, Office of the City Clerk, and those in attendance at today's meeting. I am Shalilah Dowdy, and I reside at 1008 Barber Drive, Mobile, Alabama, 36617. I'm here as the president of Stand Up Mobile, a member of the Mobile branch of the NAACP, and a concerned citizen to discuss the redistricting process and to advocate that our City Council men and City Council women actively go back into your communities and engage your constituents on where we now stand in the process. Consider holding multiple meetings and not going for the one and done just to say you did it. Additionally, multiple meetings allows for more citizens in your district to participate who are not able to make that one meeting. The previous redistricting meetings, the previous City Council meetings held prior to the submission of the previous redistricting meetings held prior to the submission of the final plan to the council was with a map that was in draft format. It is vital that as elected officials, you continue to consistently educate the citizens that you represent. From previous city council meetings, it seems as if not all of the city council meetings were on board with the next round of community engagement. Let me remind you of the resolution centered on redistricting that was previously voted on before the presentation of MAP 2.8. The resolution stated, whereas the City Council further finds it necessary, desirable, and in public interest for such guidelines to incorporate procedures to encourage and facilitate public participation in the redistricting process and to ensure that the process is open and transparent. In order to actively seek public participation and maximize public input, the Council will conduct a community meeting in each of the 7 districts. All community meetings will be open to the public so that all citizens may provide comment about the current district maps, present their own maps, and announce what desired changes that they would like to see to the maps that have been presented. If you choose not to engage your constituents on Plan 2.8 presented by the mayor, you're choosing to not be transparent. Our leaders should be in no way voting on the approval of a map without first going to your district and educating the people and getting their feedback. When we talk about transparency, we're not talking about politics. We're talking about governing. People from across the political spectrum agree government must be open, transparent, and responsive. And there are reasons why in a democracy we have to assume the responsibility of knowing what our lawmakers are up to. This process needs to be under spotlight so that we all can play a role in the process. A lack of this light is unpleasant and deadly to our democracy. Thank you for your time today.
Beverly Cooper. Following Beverly Cooper is Reverend Bobby Brown.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Beverly Cooper. I reside at 1208 Palmetto Street, Mobile, Alabama, 36604, and I live in District 2. I am, as you probably remember, as co-founder of Stand Up Mobile, an organization that is dedicated to ensuring that all of our folks have a voice in our government. I'm here to speak on the current redistricting process once again. While unfortunately we have had most often some disappointment in that process, we certainly appreciate the council's actions of last week. We appreciate the council not taking a preemptive vote on the mayor's map without fulfilling your promise to the citizens that you'd have the opportunity to learn more and weigh in on the proposal through community meetings. We also appreciate the council considering a racial polarization study. I cannot stress how important it is to our city that we get this right. Slowing down the process to allow citizen engagement instead of rushing through the process would be something that we all want, and I think that would happen. A racial polarization study would provide a much-needed credibility to this process. We all know that we can do better than this initial process, and you all took some important steps towards doing that last week. I'm hopeful that and I hope you are as well, that you will stay the course and for the sake of our city, do everything you can to get it right. The citizens of Mobile truly deserve this. Thank you for your time this morning.
Reverend Bobby Brown. Following Reverend Brown is Reverend Jim Flowers.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Bobby Brown. I reside at 3651 Winlock Court. My councilman is Ben Reynolds. I have prayed in this chamber at various times, and I have seen what this council can do when they work together. I'm here to address the process of redistricting. Let's stop and realize who we are. We are Mobilians. And real Mobilians work together. Real Mobilians love Mobile and try to ensure that all our citizens are properly addressed. Mobilians know that many of our communities struggle every day with blighted areas and long neglected, crumbling infrastructures and lack public facilities. That's not the Mobile that we love. As Mobilians, we feel that we are the best city in the state of Alabama, if not this entire nation. And we don't like to see buildings fall down. We don't like to see communities that don't have public facilities. So we want to work together. But in order for us to work together, we must respect each other. We must understand our needs. And this proposed redistricting does not really meet the needs of the population. We must be a blended nation or city. We must be a blended people that help each other. And this redistricting as proposed will not do that. It will not show us as real Mobilians loving each other, caring for each other, sharing with each other. This is your opportunity, our opportunity, to do the right thing. We must have 53% black voting age population. 53%. This is the only right thing to do. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Thank you for letting me speak.
Reverend Flowers, followed by Reverend Saffold. Reverend Saffold.
Good morning to our Council President Small, honorable members of this City Council, our Honorable Mayor Stimson and his staff. Fellow citizens, in this meeting, I am Dr. Milton Saffold, a registered voter. I reside at 1755 Maryvale Street South in District 3, and I am senior pastor of the historic Stone Street Baptist Church, Alabama's oldest Baptist church in District 2. I come to you again in support of the redistricting measure for the city of Mobile that will ensure 4 majority black council districts based on voting age. I come to you with a spirit of prayerfulness, watchfulness, and exuberant expectation. The late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or to take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism." It is in this spirit that I stand before you to remind you that we, the citizens of this city, the registered voters throughout this city, and the businesses and their employees of this community are watching and waiting for you to do the right thing that is good and legal, according to the latest U.S. Census polling for redistricting our city, and that will bring about proper representation. We can't afford to cool off in our civic responsibility in making you aware of your obligation to this community and to see that this edict is properly executed. This is a quest that will be pursued to its final resolution. While serenity is a good place to be, the sedative of tranquility is not our elixir of choice. Therefore, we remain vigilant and ever watchful, free of that intoxicating drug of gradualism. The time is now. The system as it is unfair and unjust to the majority of the populace. You have the key to making it right. As Paul Robeson said, the answer to injustice is not to silence the critic, but to end the injustice. We need appropriate redistricting action that will override the political pillar of oppression and overcome the placating words of perceived right with truth, justice, and equality. When you do this, the critics will be silenced and injustice will be ended. Words in the open are good and can be well-meaning, but I implore you to do the right thing when the lights are off, the cameras are still, and no one is around in the room. We trust you to do just that when you are in the room. We are prayerfully watching and waiting with expectation and hope. Thank you for your time. God bless and keep you all. God bless our community, our state, and our nation.
We have Donna Logan Maracino regarding Resolution 01190. Following her is Terry Mitchell regarding Resolution 01190, and Anna Bush regarding Resolution 01190.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Donna Logan Maracino. I reside at 3120 Riviera Duchesne Loop West in Mobile, 6693. I am here to speak with you this morning about the $30,000 expenditure that has been proposed to hire a consulting firm for the city animal shelter. I'm not here to voice my opinion for. I am not here to voice my opinion against. I'm here to offer some solutions that I hope that you will consider prior to the final vote on this proposal. The very first thing I want to address is this animal, the Animal Advisory Committee assessment. I've read through this beginning to end, and I hope that all of you have read through it as well. This is as close as it gets to a true assessment of Mobile City Shelter. I've been in the shelter 3 times. I've been in animal welfare for 15 years. And for lack of better ways to describe the city shelter, it's more like a hoarding and cruelty case. The next thing I want to offer up is this book. It's called The Best Practice Playbook for Animal Shelters. This book was written by the consultant that you are considering hiring to come and visit our city shelter, Dr. Pisano. Dr. Pisano, along with 2 other very reputable veterinarians in the United States, wrote this book together. This is your $30,000 right here, and it costs you $40 for a book. She is not going to tell you anything than what is in this book, anything different from what is in this book. The third thing I want to present to you is Best Friends Animal Society. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they are the largest animal sanctuary in the United States, possibly the world. I worked with them for 2 years. I continue to work with them, transporting cats and kittens out of the city of Mobile. Best Friends will come in and they will do an assessment for you for free. They will not charge you $30,000 to do that. I spoke with the Southeast strategist, Lisa Barrett. If some of you have had the opportunity to check your messages this morning on a phone, she called each and every one of you. I hope that you will just, I only have maybe 30 seconds.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Terry Mitchell. Following Terry Mitchell is Anna Bush.
Morning. Terry Mitchell, 117 Tally Court. I am chairman of the Animal Advisory Committee. The committee provided the city council with a road trip to resolving the animal problems based on national studies and veterinarian best practices. We did not have the time or the resources to fine-tune the plan. That should be done with both stakeholders at the table, the administration and the city council. It is fiscally irresponsible to spend $30,000 on a consultant when that money could be used in this community for the benefit of this community to address the underlying problem, which is pet overpopulation. Pet overpopulation drives all the problems at the shelter. If every animal had a home, you wouldn't need a shelter. 99% of those animals are not lost. They're homeless, all right? And no consultant is going to come in here and give you a magic formula, a secret ingredient that nobody else knows. Every city in America is grappling with or has grappled with this very problem, and the solutions to it are not a secret. She has nothing to do with designing a shelter. She's not a shelter architect. The shelter architect incorporates the best practices of the veterinarians. She's a veterinarian. She's going to come in here and tell you how to get your numbers down. You don't need to spend $30,000 to figure out how to get your numbers down. We know how to do that. We put the roadmap in front of you for free. All right? Please, how many assessments does it take for the city before they start acting and doing the hard work that is necessary to address the problem? And that is getting the population under control. There is a disconnect between the city council and the administration on this issue. There is a disconnect between animal services and the community. Let's make those connections and solve the problem together without spending needlessly $30,000 on a consultant. Thank you.
Anna Bush.
Good morning. My name is Anna Bush. I live at 21 Bienville Avenue, 36606. With Terry, I was on the ad hoc committee to work on the shelter issues, and I'm here to probably annoy everyone on every side in every possible way. I am here in support of the shelter and in support of the animals. If we need a consultant to further convince this assembly and this city to build a new a facility, whether they come from Best Friends or University of Florida for free, or this lady for $30,000, so be it. We got to move on this. This is ridiculous. Donna says she's been in that shelter 3 times. I have been in that shelter every single day for 365 days. It is running better because it has been hard to bring animals in because it's so full. Adoptions have been down. The animals are hard to get out sometimes. There are a lot of things that need to be addressed. The report, which I don't think most of you have had a chance to really read, does say that we need a comprehensive approach. It urged a comprehensive approach to law enforcement, updating ordinances, community outreach, and a new facility. It's time to move on it. What I don't want to see is, as we did in 2016, a report that urges the critical needs of the current shelter be addressed while we work on a new facility, and then the city slow walk the new facility and still not fund the critical needs for the existing facility, because someday, somewhere, there will be a new shelter. Both are critical for this long neglected city service. Aside from and regardless of what Dr. Pisano's efforts, should she be selected, a comprehensive approach to animal welfare needs more than just a new building. A few examples. Local ordinances must be updated and enforced. Use licensing to reduce breeding and enforce stray reduction. Change the laws that discourage TNR. And demand peddler business licenses for dog sellers. The city must find a way to facilitate low-cost spay and neuter. I get calls every day from people looking for help. There are significant legal obstacles at the state level to moving to a modern animal control policy. Time precludes a litany of those here, but I challenge this council and this administration to reach out to our legislative delegation to address them. For example, rent seeking by the AVMA makes it hard for rescue-friendly vets to provide low-cost services. Big players like Alpha obstruct laws restricting breeders operating puppy mills. Regulatory practices by quasi-governmental licensing authorities prohibit veterinarians from offering necessary services to the public at low cost. A general banishment of animal bills to the nether regions of the state legislature. These are huge and heavy obstacles. They need to be overcome while we find a modern and appropriate animal services department for our city. The council and administration must present a united front at the state level for this. So I urge you to do bigger and better than merely seeing this through. As the chair said, let's get up to speed. We need a modern facility, we need a modern approach, and we need to move on it. And we don't need to continually hold over the most basic needs of our shelter and the animals that we serve. This is a quality of life issue.
Hang on, Lisa. Yeah. I don't think either one of the three of you don't want us to build a new shelter, correct? So you want us to build a new shelter. Okay. Point of clarity, I guess. The team being hired is being hired as a programmer to get us to a concept for a new building. Get us to a concept for a new building or a new shelter so that the new shelter could be designed by a consultant and then built. So the programmer, and this is what I see you shaking your head, we can talk about it later, but the concept is where I'm being told now. If that's not correct, then I would hope that the administration would provide some clarity to that, because the whole point that the administration wants us to do now is bring in a consultant, and with a programmer, they talk to the stakeholders, the community, the government, and everyone else during the programming phase, at least those that I've been in. Is that not correct? So I'm going to ask Jim if he would expand on the process so that it's clear to everyone.
Mr. President, move that we hold this when we get to the agenda item to have the discussion.
Move, you want to, right now, you wanted to, we could talk about it then. I thought it was an open discussion now that we're doing here and having presentations to the council. I think that we need to clarify it to those that are asking and where we are and where we're in this process.
Mr. President.
Hold up. Hold up.
They're asking for clarity now.
Mr. Jim, are you ready to answer that question? With Mr. Carroll have? You don't? If we could just, Mr. Carroll, we might have to do a committee meeting, and okay. Mr. Colonel is not ready right now. Okay.
It's coming up next anyway.
We're going to hold it over
in the next section, so we can have our discussion then.
All right. Ms. Lambert.
Resolutions held over. Are there any objections to any of these?
Yes, we're going to at least.
Just the 01190. Okay. 47169, assent to the vacation of portions of Pearl Lyons Hospital and Basil Streets. 08191 and 192 are approving purchase orders to Cart Doctor for golf carts for cruise terminal.
1 minute, Madam Clerk. Mr. Carroll, did you want to take that one separate?
Yeah, we do. We still don't have a complete answer from the two churches, even though I did get a text back from Kenny. There's still somebody that needs to be reached. We need to hold it over another week.
Okay.
So let's just go ahead and vote on 47169.
Okay, 47169, assent to the vacation of portions of Pearl Lyons Hospital and Basil Street.
Motion to hold over 1 week.
Second.
Been properly moved in second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Laid over 1 week.
Okay. 08191 and 192, approving purchase orders to Cart Doctor for golf carts for the cruise terminal and to Game Time for park benches and trash receptacles for Lavaretta Park. 21193, authorized contract with Micor doing business as MDS Construction for improvements at Spanish Plaza. 21194, authorized contract with Sanders Highland Corporation for floor replacement, elevator cabins and lobbies, Mobile, Alabama Cruise Terminal. 21195, authorized contract with Brico Signs for pylon and building signage for Mobile Police Department.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved in second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Resolution passes.
01190, authorized agreement with Team Shelter USA for independent shelter assessment.
Mr. President.
Yes.
As I hear everyone speaking, I hear you loud and clear that
we need to bring this to discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were there.
Mr. President.
We need to bring.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, we were going to lay this over until March 16th. Am I correct?
Have we brought this to discussion yet?
No.
Well,
So moved.
Second. Okay, now discussion. Ms. Gregory.
okay. If I remember correctly, we were talking about laying this over until March 16th, if that is still the desire. I do have a question, though, for Colonel DeLapp and others within the administration, and hopefully it's an easy one, if I can ask, on this $30,000 for the assessment. One thing that I think we need to know is what happens if we don't approve this.
So if it's not approved, then what happens is we will use whatever information we have at hand to help develop our own program of requirements for a facility and attempt to relay that to the architect that we would hire. That's probably not the best way for us to proceed, although we have some expertise and we have some documentation on operations. Having a consultant help us kind of go through that so that we're spending the money in the most beneficial way, because this will be obviously a multi-million-dollar facility. We don't know how much. We think it's money well spent. So,
Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Gregory, are you finished?
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Just a follow-up question. My understanding was that we had to do this assessment in order to get to the build process. Is this a requirement for the city to take in order to get to the design portion?
Let me go with. So I was talking to the director of the shelter. So this will get us through the entire program, as Mr. Carroll was referring to. It is a review of ordinances. It's a review of the current facility. It's a review of what types of rooms need to be in the facility that we currently do not have. I'm told there's a community cat center for feral cats. There's also a veterinarian room, which we do not have now. So the space analysis will eventually lead to the concepts of the building or the facilities and the programs that we need, which will then be ready for the actual design and engineering or the architect once we identify what those needs are. After that phase is completed, then the actual bid out to do the construction would go.
Are you done, Mr. Jones? Mr. Reynolds?
all right, so I hear y'all loud and clear. Y'all put in a lot of work and did a heck of a job, by the way. I read the report. So congratulations on really putting in the work that was required. But as I'm reading this contract, it lays out what it is. And although y'all's report was very detailed and in-depth, it doesn't touch on all these various component parts to help guide that process. It's important to me that the information that y'all compiled, which represents essentially the people's view, is included as part of what this consultant does. And I think the administration knows that as well. But I wanted to just hit on a couple of those things that I think are important to this process. So it makes all these, this is their scope of work, essentially. Key performance indicators, trend analysis, safety net and coordinated strategic admission, including effective community cat management, best practice, community-based enforcement, which you guys have put some of that stuff in there as well. But best use of and recommendations for current facility, I think you guys touched on some of that as well. The recommendations of the new facility design, guidance regarding standard operating procedures, hiring practices, staff volunteer management and table of organization with clear chain of command, fiscally responsible budgeting, fundraising, social media outreach, purchasing and inventory of supplies, sustainable resolution of animal welfare issues, collaborative efforts with advocates and other local regions and national organizations. So I think you guys will be included as part of this process. The information you've compiled will be a part of this process, but I think this kind of takes it to the next level to help guide us. And I would say that this consultant, although they're going to provide a report, it's not the end-all and be-all. We have the ability to modify it for our specific use based on the feedback that you all provided, as well as any other impact. So I feel comfortable in moving forward with this consultant. I think it's necessary and required if we're going to truly start taking immediate action rather than just waiting around and letting it, collect dust. This is a way for us to get the ball going.
Any other council members?
Mr. President, if the council is inclined, we could move forward and vote on this today.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes.
Consent resolutions being introduced, 40198 through 58199.
Move for unanimous consent to consider these resolutions as read.
So moved.
Properly moved and second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Madam Clerk.
4198, rescind resolution 4178, 2022, fixing the cost for demolition of structure at 526 Elviston Street. 58199, declare weeds noxious, weed lien group 1626.
So moved.
Properly moved and second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Passes.
Resolutions being introduced for the first time, 08200 through 60207.
Per council rules, these resolutions will be laid over for 1 week.
Call for public hearings, 41206. Call for public hearing to rezone property located at the northeast corner of Halls Mill Road and River Duchesne Road from B3 to I1, scheduled April the 4th.
So moved.
Properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Public hearing is called.
Announcements, the March 15th scheduled council meeting will be held on March the 16th. Right? Is that correct?
All right,
Yeah.
district.
Couple of right. Oh, is that right, Mr. Small?
We'll go ahead with announcement. District 1, Corey Penn.
Thank you, Mr. President. To District 1 and the City of Mobile, I also want to thank the city employees, everyone that helped out during the Mardi Gras season. Y'all did an amazing job. As I was pulling in, y'all was working. So thank you so much for everything that you're doing during Mardi Gras season. It's not over yet. This Saturday, we have the Great Trinity Garden Parade. It starts at 11 a.m. So I'm inviting, of course, District 1 to come out and the rest of the City of Mobile come out and fellowship with District 1. On March the 8th, we will have our community meeting at Ashland Place, UMC. It starts at 6 p.m. We will be hosting community meetings every month going forward for the next couple months. We'll be meeting in Tomerville next, Trinity Garden Community in May. June is west of I-65. And then in July, the Croydon community. You will receive this information in the mailer as well. So thank you so much, District 1, for everything that you're doing. And thank you, Mr. President.
District 2, Councilman Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. President. On March 16th, 6 p.m. at the Hope Center in Plateau, we'll have a community meeting. In that community meeting, we'll discuss the rezoning of the old Lad Supply property site on Paper Mill Road. We'll also talk about blight, neighborhood revitalization, how you as a citizen of the city could possibly purchase property in your neighborhood and revitalize it yourself. We'll also talk about crime and crime prevention, and the biggie also redistricting at the same time. To everyone else, I have started scheduling 5 additional meetings across the city to talk about redistricting as we go through the next 3.5 to 4 months. so that everyone can clearly have an understanding of where we are at this time and if any changes will happen between now and 6 months from now. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Mr. Reynolds.
No announcements.
All right. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. I want to echo Councilman Penn's comments to the city and to the residents of Mobile. What a great Mardi Gras season that we had. So a lot of great celebrations take place, a lot of great balls. And to the Public Works and the Public Safety Department across the city, thank you to each and every one of you for what you did during that couple of weeks. For those that have called, we do have newsletter delays. There's a problem with the technology. You should be getting those newsletters out. You did not drop off. You should be seeing newsletters this week. And lastly, I would ask the administration, if at all possible, if we could change the lights on the buildings tonight to blue and yellow as we stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Ukraine. Thank you.
And lastly, in District 7, this afternoon at 1:30, we will hold the urban camping, it's not the urban camping committee, but it's Public Safety Committee. We will be discussing the urban camping proposal. We also have some information that Ms. Henderson will share as she has spoken to a number of groups in the area that work with our homeless population. So that will be held here in the auditorium at 1:30. Like Councilman Penn, I too have an opportunity for those who want to continue in the carnival spirit. It will be Saturday in the Mobile Terrace community. We will start parading at 3 o'clock. The parade winds around the entire community twice, so come on out and enjoy. It's a great community event, and I'm happy that we're able to hold it again this year. The Plantasia event is coming up for Mobile Botanical Gardens. This is a wonderful time to go and find the perfect vegetable plants, flowering plants, trees, shrubs, you name it, that will be perfect for your yard or garden. It begins, the preview party is on the 17th, which is a Thursday, and then the sale is Friday and Saturday at Mobile Botanical Gardens. And then on March 17th, I am helping to host an inaugural meeting for Park Forest residents in their desire to form a community action group or homeowners association. That will be March 17th at Emmanuel Baptist Church, which is at the corner of Ziegler and University. With that, if there are no other announcements, administration or council, anybody?
Motion to adjourn.
All right.